Good evening, everyone. This evening is our monthly meeting of the Board of Adjustment. We are committed to a transparent process and encouragement of public comment during our meetings. We will be accepting testimony from all parties. If you wish to testify on any particular petition before us this evening using the Zoom platform, please use the raise hand feature. You can raise your hand at any time and we will recognize you at the appropriate time for the presentation of evidence for each case. If in person, please hand staff your speaker's card. Planner Robin Keefe will be moderating the hybrid meeting and will be asked to provide names of those individuals that wish to speak. I'd like to call the meeting of the City of Wildwood's Board of Adjustment to order. The board members present are Bob Morris, board member, Kevin Lux, board member, Arnie Sprunger, board member, Mike Lee, board member, and myself, Jared Frank, chair. The Department of Planning staff present is Joe Vunich, Director of Planning, and Robin Keefe, planner. City Attorney John Young and Court Reporter Courtney Talman are also present with Ms. Talman on Zoom. First, I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, February 15th, 2024, and take official notice of the zoning ordinance of the City of Wildwood, including Chapter 400, Article 2, authorizing establishing the Board of Adjustment's powers and duties. Now, let me explain the hearing procedure. Please be aware of the information I am about to describe is also provided on the Board of Adjustment public hearing procedure handout, which was available online prior and up to tonight's meeting. This hearing is informal in its nature. However, the meeting's procedures will be recorded by a reporter for future transcription if needed. The petitions are called in the order listed on the agenda. As the petition is called, I will ask a Department of Planning staff member to read each request into the record. Thereafter, the Department of Planning will have opening remarks and a brief slide presentation. Then the petitioner or his or her representative will be asked to state their name, address, be sworn in by the court reporter, make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance, and present such evidence of witness testimony that may evidence the practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship that warrant the variance. The board will only consider the unique character of the property to determine whether they warrant the granting of a variance. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, the chair will then ask if there's anyone present or online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to the requested variance. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then provide their oral and evidence and oral testimony. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional evidence or testimony. The board may also continue the proceedings. After the submission of testimony and evidence from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter, if requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or individual that is participating in person or online. Once all witnesses have been heard, the chair will ask for a motion to grant or deny, with or without conditions, then the board will vote. At that time, the presentation of evidence relating to the petition is included and no further evidence will be permitted. The board may make a decision today. Four members of the board must vote in favor of the variance for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Ms. Keefe, are there any questions at this time?
If there is anyone online who would like to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature. I see no questions.
And Mr. Chair, if there's anyone in the council chambers that has a question regarding the procedures, this would be the time to ask.
Good. Hearing no questions at this time, the meeting will proceed. The department, please read the first request into the record, which will be followed by a brief slide presentation.
Mr. Chair, the first item is BA 33-23, Matthew and Laura Wilson, 702 White Cliff Place Court, Wildwood, Missouri, 63005. Care of Ed Weinhardt, Solid Site Company, 1243 Tesson Ferry Road, Suite 122, St. Louis, Missouri, 63128. request an exception to the minimum yard requirements general and the natural resource protection standards and procedures for the purpose of retaining an existing fence and expanding upon it, installing two proposed sets of retaining walls, and constructing a new 25-foot by 20-foot pavilion with associated concrete paving, all upon the property located at 702 White Cliff Place Court, St. Louis County locator number 20U 110354, White Cliff subdivision, lot 12, thereby authorizing a rear yard setback distances of 29 feet in lieu of the 50-foot requirement and 4 feet in lieu of the 30-foot distance for the pavilion with associated concrete paving, and an encroachment into the natural resource protection area by the same, along with two new retaining walls and an existing fence with plans to expand its length and boundaries per the attached plan. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 420.200 Natural Resource Protection Standards and Procedures of the Subdivision and Development Regulations of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code as applied to properties located in the R1A 22,000 square foot resident district, Chapter 415.120 R1A 22,000 square foot district regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance, and Plan Residential Development Overlay District, PRD, ordinance number 873, which was approved by the Wildwood City Council on September 23rd, 2002. This particular property is located in Ward 3. And Mr. Chair, before Ms. Keefe begins the presentation of the slides, the department would like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony, evidence, or exhibits that are provided as part of tonight's hearing. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Our first case this evening is located in the Wycliffe subdivision, which is in northeastern Wildwood. It is located on the west side of Strucker Road, south of Valley Road. The subject property is located on a cul-de-sac, serving 5 other lots in the northern end of the subdivision. The property abuts other dwellings and lots, as well as subdivision common ground, and also large lot, single family lots to the rear of it as well. The subject lot is currently occupied by a single family dwelling, along with various improvements, including an in-ground swimming pool, a back deck, and a series of retaining walls designed to hold up the dwellings in this area. The property is 20,237 square feet in size, and the property is zoned R1A 22,000 square feet residence district, and it's located within a planned residential development overlay district, which was approved by the Wildwood City Council in 2002. With this approval, natural resource protection standards were applied to the subdivision, protecting 13 acres of 20 acres of it. The natural resource protection standards were established in large part to protect areas that are highly susceptible to erosion, as well as preserve natural drainage ways for stormwater runoff. This property is irregularly shaped, with the existing dwelling placed near the high portion of the lot, with it then sloping southeast and northwest. The overall relief is 36 feet, and the lot is primarily wooded, though there's grassy turf area around the dwelling itself. This is the front of the subject residence, and I believe we're looking mostly north. As noted, it is located along a cul-de-sac. This is Wycliffe Place Court, and we're looking southeast. And this is looking southwest. The petitioners are requesting this board to authorize adjustments to both rear yard setbacks. There are differing setbacks on this lot, in large part to protect the large lot residential properties to the rear of it, which was the justification for the 50-foot rear yard in one portion of the lot and 30 feet in another portion. This request would authorize adjustments to both the rear yard setback requirements and also allow encroachment into the natural resource protection area. As you can see here, there is a green dotted dashed line. This represents the final resource protection line, and anything beyond it is in the protected area. And I don't know if there's easily, oh, here's the 30-foot setback. Okay. This is the 30-foot setback line, and then this is the 50-foot setback line here. The series of improvements that are proposed include 2 proposed retaining walls that are designed to support a 20-foot by 25-foot pavilion with concrete area, concrete paving all around it. And also to retain an existing fence depicted in purple here, and also expand upon it to this orange area here as part of this design. It should be noted, you might notice the in-ground swimming pool is also in the natural resource protection area. This was granted a variance in 2005 by the board, along with the associated concrete decking around it. And that variance was granted over department objection at that time. It should be noted overall, the petitioners are asking for 4 feet in lieu of 30 feet for one rear yard setback distance and 29 feet in lieu of 50 for the other. This is the swimming pool and fence looking northeast. And this is those same improvements in relation to the dwelling. This is the view north. And this is also looking north. This is standing on the east side of the pool, looking north. Northwest at the pool area. These are the neighboring properties to the southeast. And this is the view from the east side, looking northeast from the top of the retaining wall supporting those properties. The department has received 3 written comments in objection to the request, with some concerns about erosion and stormwater issues. And that concludes my presentation at this time. Director Vunich, did you have any comments? No? Okay. If you have any questions, Director Vunich and I are available to answer them. Thank you.
Hey, Robin, would you mind putting the diagram up that has the orange and the
Yep.
green and the
I was trying to
colors.
separate the different features for you.
No. So is the orange line, especially where it says proposed silt fence around, is that like right on the property boundary?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robin. At this time, will the petitioner please come forward, state your name, address, relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter.
We both have.
Yeah, we'll start with one or the other, and then we'll.
Mr. Chair.
My name is,
Just before they start, that silt fence is temporary. It is just there during the construction to manage any potential runoff with silt. It'll be removed once the project is completed.
Thank you for that clarification.
oh, no, you're fine. Good evening. My name is Matt Wilson.
Yeah, just if you state your name, address, relation to the property, and then we'll swear you in, Mr. Wilson.
Matt Wilson, owner of 702 Cliff Place Sport.
We'll get you sworn in here.
Oh, Laura Wilson, 702 Wycliffe Place Court,
In relation to the property.
owner.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth,
And
the
I
whole
get
truth?
to call you. Just a moment, Courtney.
Courtney, you should be good to go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Please raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, if you could please explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance as it relates to the character of the property only.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, these are some pictures that I took this morning that I was wondering if I could hand out to you all up there
Please.
as well. Thank you. And then also on the back of the photos are some letters from some of our neighbors that they sent along as well. Basically, Laura and I, and we've lived in Wildwood for over 30 years. We lived off of Clayton Road in Clayton Spur Court subdivision for about 10, 12 years. And we were the first builders in Wycliffe. And the reason we chose this lot was because of the beauty and because of the woods and, the serenity back there and the privacy. But over the years, our family has grown. We've kind of outgrown our pool deck. And it's really become kind of a safety issue as well. And we're wanting to redesign the pool area and the pool deck. As you see in the photo here, this is the backyard from this morning. I took these pictures. We are actually not wanting to extend outside of the fence that you see here. We are wanting to keep everything within inside of the fence that is existing right now. The plans that you see up here, I believe, were first previous ones that we had put up with our contractor. Since then, we have changed that. I apologize. And if you think it would be best for us to, prolong this, to the next meeting, to, get a new plan up there drawn out, we can do that if you think that would benefit us as well. But basically, the stones that you see on the pool area here, that's a water fountain. It's eroding. We're wanting to get rid of that whole area right there. And we're wanting to get rid of the landscape around the pool there. And we're wanting to move our pool deck, put pool decking there around the pool to make our pool deck bigger. And then right behind there, kind of where you see where we used to have our trampoline for the kids when they were younger. That's where we're wanting to put the pavilion, is back there. It's the flattest part of our yard. Been trying to grow grass back there for 18 years. I can't do it. The trees just suck up all the water. But talking about trees, we're not wanting to affect any of the trees whatsoever. You know, that's one thing that we love about it. And as you can see, there's been some new things done back into the woods behind us as well. And with this plan, we plan on having a professional drainage company come in to give us the best drainage possible for this project, because that's the last thing we want to is erosion. We don't want to cause any difficulties for anybody. You know, we want to make this for our family to enjoy for a very long time. Basically.
So here, the other thing that was not correct is we aren't planning on doing any retaining walls. That pavilion, however it looks, can be within that fence and even close to the pool. Like we'll do whatever to be able to expand behind the pool, because I wish we had a picture of how much decking we have towards the house. It's not really much at all. So there would be no retaining walls and we would not move the fence. And interestingly enough, 18 years ago, which seems like a long time ago, us being here, I didn't realize it was the natural resource protection line. I thought it was a building line we were dealing with. It evidently was so you can see it going there.
We had no idea that there was a natural resource. We thought the whole time when we came up for the first time that it was on the actual building line, the boundary line.
Yeah.
Not the natural resource line. So,
But if you do look at this picture, it's disturbing absolutely nothing. And we've looked at, with the contractors, we've looked at a lot of different options. If you kind of go to either side, it drops off considerably. Like, I don't know if you all are familiar with this subdivision, but it's very steep in certain parts. So there really isn't any other place to do it. If there were, we would love to.
yeah, we're open for suggestions too on this project. And the reason I brought an extension possibly too, we would love you all to come out and see it, to see what it would look like and kind of envision it for yourselves, to see that it's really going to be within our yard here in the whole fence, and it's not going to intrude on the wildlife and the woods behind us.
Also, the house behind us that you kind of see where they've done their little thing, you can't see, there's no one else. No one at all. Like, you don't see anybody, which is the beauty of it, which is so.
And during the summer, in the fall and the spring, the leaves that are on the trees, that helps too with the privacy. So once the foliage is in there, you really can't see the house behind us as well.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
with the new information, and if the petitioners are willing to provide an updated plan, I think it will impact the department's recommendation. So I think a month-long postponement would be appropriate. I know it delays the project, but I think the new information would certainly alter the approach the department has taken. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd agree as well. Is any other questions initially that may give the petitioners some guidance and yeah, is that okay to go ahead and do direct communication? If there were any initial questions that may
Oh,
help them?
please.
Okay,
I would just say at the end, given that we don't have an accurate plan and
yes,
there's a recommendation for denial based upon the plan that was provided originally, I think, again, it's just going to alter the approach, at least I took in reviewing the proposal.
in light of the drainage plan with a professional as well. Okay.
So please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of suggestions. Professionally speaking, because I'm a licensed engineer, but your impervious area is quite large on this plan, and that's going to increase the runoff in both directions because this is set up on a ridge. You have drainage going each way. You would have to do considerable retention of stormwater because you can't increase the stormwater runoff from your track from where it is today. All right, so that means like you'd have two detention ponds basically in here to release the water downhill on both sides. So that's a huge concern because we don't want to build something like that in our natural resource area. Does that make sense? So I would suggest that you take your pavilion and rotate it around closer to your house to the right, rotate it
Like this way?
clockwise.
To the.
Clockwise.
Clockwise, and
Clockwise?
then your drainage is only going to be impacted on the east side
Okay.
instead of the west, which makes that a lot easier to deal with. And you could probably get it out of within the 50-foot setback and have less encroachment into that area.
Okay.
Now, I realize from your photos that grass area is on the ridge, but that is also pervious to where rain will go into the ground. When you cover it with concrete or whatever you're doing it, you increase the runoff, and you're at, I would say, 50% lot coverage here
Mhm.
with the drawing. And that is not the intent of Wildwood and the ordinance and the natural protection.
That's great.
area.
That's great advice. Like that would be even better if you all were able to come out and verify that and say, yes, if you kind of took it this way and cocked it this way.
Yeah.
That it
I'd
would-
have your engineer look at that
yeah,
and
okay.
tried it, because he's going to have to submit to the county for a permit, and it's going to have to comply with not only Wildwood ordinance, but also county
With the county.
criteria. And you're going to be struggling with that.
So you're saying have the engineer draw up a new,
New
within
plan.
the, within
New plans
the plans,
with having the pavilion.
Rotate it
rotated.
around to where your pavilion's impacting your 30-foot setback.
Okay.
that would possibly then require a retaining wall. I
That's okay
suspect.
though,
Okay.
because you're only impacting half of the stormwater.
Okay.
It's a lot less invasive.
So concrete pavement is a bigger, like it's a huge
a
difference
huge
as
problem.
opposed to
Yeah.
land. Okay,
Yeah, well, this line sucks it up.
okay.
Joe, do you agree or?
Well, Member Lee, I will assure you that our Department of Public Works, whatever would be approved here, regardless of variance or not, will ensure that they manage the stormwater based upon the individual characteristics of the lot. We've implemented, since our watershed erosion task force has been in place, standards for every project on every lot, regardless if it's a in-ground pool, a pavilion, or a large single-family dwelling. So no lot goes out of City Hall with an authorization that doesn't have a stormwater management plan now.
My approach to this would be less of a problem though than what is shown on this drawing.
And I concur wholeheartedly with that assessment. That's why I think the postponement gives the departments, Public Works and Planning, the petitioners, time to understand now that we're not going into, for all intents and purposes, in an area that's not already underused. And that changes dramatically what I think the impact is. And if we do the stormwater component, as you've described, Board Member Lee, I think we have a project that can proceed forward if the board agrees.
Thank you. I hope you consider my suggestions.
Yes.
Certainly will.
To get, just for clarification, will we need to get, would the engineer give us the,
Your designer would reconfigure this and then come in with a proposal for the stormwater and not just the plan, so that the department can write a correct assessment of it and understand all the components of it.
excellent.
And we can provide you some assistance. Probably, I don't know if it's tomorrow and we're off on Monday, but we can get with you on Tuesday or Wednesday and give you some assistance in the next steps that we'd like to see.
Excellent. Thank you. all. Thanks.
And the next meeting will be 30 days from today.
With that, formal motion is gone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just a moment, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Any other additional questions outside of procedural? Yeah. That, we will need a motion to postpone this to next month.
I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Would you, so do you all think that any of you would come out and look at it? Like, and look at the property to see eyes on kind of?
Yeah, if anyone was, I have been out to the property, and I think I would encourage anyone to go see it. It's a little definitely different than what you see up here, and even the picture. So.
One last question. Do we need to sign up for the next meeting, or will we automatically?
We have a wonderful department that will, they'll guide you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mrs.
Ms.
Wilson.
Keefe will take care of that post haste and does it well.
Then I'll go ahead and make a
Mr. Lux, you,
formal motion to postpone till the next meeting.
so Mr. Lux, has made a formal motion to postpone to next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Sprunger. Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Mr. Lux,
Approved.
Mr. Sprunger,
Yes.
Mr. Lee? And I vote yes as well to postpone this to the March meeting. At this time, we'll move right along to the next petition. Will the department please go ahead with the next petition?
And again, to the board members, the director's apology, as I say, nobody appreciates a postponement, but I think in this particular instance, we can obviously get better information and give you something that you can work from that. Thank you. The next item is BA 3-24 Wayland Custom Homes, Inc., 338 South Kirkwood Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63122. Care of Mark Doring, Doring Engineering Incorporated, 4850 Lee May Ferry Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63129. Request an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of retaining a covered porch, such being upon a property located at 2644 Center Avenue, locator number 24V 510034, Wesley Park Subdivision, Lot 4, which would authorize a front yard setbacks distance of 19 feet in lieu of the required 20 feet. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.140 R3 10,000 square foot resident district regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance and ordinance number 2706 approved by the City Council on June 13th, 2022. This particular property is located in Ward 8. And again, Mr. Chair, with your permission, before Ms. Keefe begins the presentation of her slides, the department would like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this request and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony, exhibits, or other evidence provided as part of tonight's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Munich. Ms. Keefe.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, our second case this evening is located in the Wildwood Town Center. The subject lot is 14,500 square feet, and it's located on the east side of Center Avenue in the Wesley Park subdivision, which is so recently approved that St. Louis County hasn't updated their aerials yet. So this is actually a four lot subdivision featured by the rectangular box before you. This subject lot concerns lot 4, and it's being used for a single family dwelling, which is presently being completed. The dwelling has 3,020 square feet of total living area, and it is 1 story in height. It is zoned R3, 10,000 square foot residence district, and has been since 2022. That district requires a 20-foot front yard setback distance, an 8-foot side yard setback distance, and a 30-foot rear yard side back distance. The lot is fairly level. In this oval in front of you is the subject of this variance request. This front facade feature of this residence is at 19 feet presently in lieu of the 20-foot setback that is required for front yard setbacks in the zoning district. The petitioner is seeking a variance permitting this 19-foot front yard setback distance. This variance would preserve this front yard improvement as it stands today, rather than forcing demolition of it or partial removal. The applicant notes that this encroachment was caused in part by a misunderstanding of the extent of the new right-of-way associated with the lot. The city recently accepted Center Avenue for maintenance after gaining approval from 21 separate holders of right. This road will be completed or improved in the near future with plans soon to be completed. This is looking northeast, the view of this front facade improvement. This is looking north of that facade improvement. This is looking north at the street. This is Center Avenue. This is looking southwest at the house across the street. This is looking east, and this is the southern facade of the home. And this is the looking southwest where Center Avenue intersects with Bordeaux Walkway. And then this is the view of the dwelling in relation to the residence next to it, which you may remember from a very similar variance request in December 2023. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions at this time, Director Vunich and I are available to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. At this time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and we'll get you sworn in by the court reporter.
Good evening. I'm Mark Doring, President of Doring Engineering, 4850 Mayfairy Ferry, St. Louis, Missouri.
In relation to the property, Mr. Doring.
I'm sorry, I am the engineer. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Whalen Bartley with Whalen Custom Homes, representing Mike Whalen, who has laryngitis.
In relation to the property in this particular.
I'm with the developer, with the builder.
We'll get you sworn in here.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Please state the nature of the request, the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
appreciate your time again this evening, and I apologize that I'm even here, and appreciate your time from December. As briefly discussed, we've been using AutoCAD, which is what everybody uses in our field. It's a very expensive, a very complex program for the duties that we do having to do with surveying and engineering. Just about every year there's an update to the software program. So you guys understand that it charges a little more money, whatever. But what happened this time is, it hadn't happened since we've been using it since 1990, is there was a switch set in the software program. And there's a difference between universal foot and US foot. And because of that, there's about a 2-foot difference in this particular situation. So we intended and believed that we staked the house 1 foot behind the building line. However, after this area was recognized, we realized that the house was actually staked out 1 foot in front of the property line where it sets today. So we're asking for a variance for that 12-foot porch, 12-foot wide porch that comes into the front yard by 1 foot. The house looks very nice. It's a very nice stone porch, but that porch deck, which you could see in the picture, is only 4.5 feet. If we would have to move that back another foot, that would make that porch very uncomfortable. And I don't think it'd be doing anybody a whole lot of good on the street. And it'd be a very damaging thing to the final product of the house. Again, we set the same distance back, this lot 4, as we do on lot 3. So they line up exactly the same on the street. So it's not like one's going to be sitting out in front of the other. We still have 2 more lots on them. I guarantee you those will be set back behind the line and we're not coming in front of you again. If I do, I'll just
Read my mind there.
So with that, do you have anything you'd like to say? Okay. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to try to address them for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doring. Any questions? Deja vu. Anything else over here?
This is the best excuse I've heard. And I'm going to borrow it sometime.
At this time, no board members' questions. Any speakers in the audience that may want to speak in favor or opposition to this request? Thank you both. We'll give a moment online again. If you're using the Zoom platform, feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to speak on behalf or opposition to this request.
Mr. Chair, I see no raised hands.
Seeing none, any members in the audience that want to speak in favor or opposition to this request? Seeing none, would anybody like to hear an oral presentation of the department's report on this matter? Seeing none there as well. Any final excuse me, any final comments from the board? Moving right along. We will close the proceeding for a vote. Can I have a vote to approve? I'm sorry, a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
I'll go ahead and motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Lux. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Mr. Lux?
Approve.
Mr. Sprunger?
Approve.
Mr. Lee? And I approve as well. Congratulations, your variance is approved. We will proceed to the next petition, please.
The next item on the board's agenda tonight is BA 4-24, John and Diana Adam, 17504 Summit View Place, Ridge, Wildwood, Missouri, 63038. Request an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of constructing a 4-car detached garage, 960 square feet in area, upon the property being located at 17504 Summit View Place Ridge, locator number 25W 330131, Summit View Place, Lot 24, which would authorize a southwestern side yard setback distance of 20 feet in lieu of the required 30-foot standard. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban Resident District Regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance. This particular property is located in Ward 1. And again, with your permission, Mr. Chair, we'll enter into the record the following items before Ms. Keefe provides the slide presentation. Those items are Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment, Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance, the file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request, and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony, evidence, exhibits, or other items that are offered as evidence at tonight's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bunich. Ms. Keefe?
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, our third request this evening concerns a subject lot which is located in the southwestern portion of Wildwood within the Summit View Place subdivision, which was platted in 1989. This is right around Brockwoods Reservation. The subject lot is a corner lot with 2 frontages on private roadways maintained by the Homeowners Association, Summit View Place Drive and Summit View Place Ridge. The lot is somewhat rectangular in shape. It is zoned non-urban residence district, and it's occupied by a single-family dwelling that was built in 1993. It has an attached garage associated with it, an in-ground swimming pool with concrete decking and fence, a concrete patio fire pit area, and upper wooden deck. Also, a zoning authorization was issued in November of 2023, authorizing an interior renovation of the attached garage. 2 spaces were converted to living space, and 1 space was retained as a garage space. The subject site descends 40 feet from the front of it to the rear, with the steeper portion in the front half of it and a relatively flat portion on the second half of it. It is mostly grassy turf area with some trees on the lot. The petitioner is requesting in this case to build a new detached garage, 24 feet by 40 feet at a southwestern side yard setback distance of 20 feet in lieu of 30 feet. And here you can see that differentiation, the 20-foot setback line being requested is in yellow and the 30-foot is in red here. This is the proposed detached garage. This is the driveway area. The petitioner did note in their application the justification for moving the garage more to that southwestern side is the existing fire pit. With it being closer, it would be too close. I did want to note, just because there's the two frontages, there's a 50-foot setback line from Summit View or Summit View Place Drive. And then there's also a 50-foot building setback from Summit View Place Ridge. This is the front of the home looking southeast. This is looking southwest along Summit View Place Ridge. And this is looking northeast at Summit View Place Ridge, where it intersects with Summit View Place Drive. This is across the street looking north. This is looking southwest at the neighbor most affected by the proposed improvement. A letter of support has been received from that neighbor. This is the view of the existing attached garage, obviously undergoing interior renovation. This is looking east at the rear yard improvements that currently exist, including the fire pit area here, the in-ground swimming pool, and the upper wooden deck. This is looking southeast. And this is looking southwest towards that garage location in relation to the fire pit and the neighbor. This is looking south. This is looking west. And this is looking west again. The department has received one letter from a neighbor who is opposed to the proposed improvement. And as noted before, the neighbor closest to it is in support. And that concludes my presentation. The department is available for questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. At this time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter.
Hello, my name is John Adam. I'm the owner of the residence at 17504 Summit View Place Ridge.
We'll get you sworn in here, Mr. Adam.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Adam, if you could please explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty in necessitating the variance.
Sure. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. So I'm lucky enough to have 6 kids and 5 of them are driving age. And part of the reason we're doing the garage rehab was with 6 kids, you need a little bit of separation. They need us. So we created a rec room out of that space, that garage space there. So that's what was happening to that. We also, with 5 of them driving age, 2 of them don't live with us, but they visit a lot. When the 3 that do drive, all those cars in the driveway kind of looks like a used car lot, right? They're just all kind of stacked in it. So the logic of building a detached garage was to get these cars out of the driveway and into a garage, right? I also have a mower that I don't want to have sitting out in the driveway. Neighbors have been very patient with my used car lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are 5 other detached garages in the neighborhood of similar construction. The neighborhood covenant says that they have to look like the house, and that everyone has done that. And when you go around and you look at those, one of the things that you notice is that if they're too close to the house, it kind of looks like a tunnel. And again, kind of trying to keep in mind the aesthetics of the overall neighborhood, which, as you can see, big lots with lots of trees and lots of space, they're a little bit closer together, kind of makes it look a little tunnel-like. So separating them a little bit seemed like a good idea. As was noted by Robin, we do have a letter from the nearest neighbor indicating that he supported this. He's over 100 feet from the property line. And so this is far enough away that he had no issues with it. If you notice in the pictures, one thing is the landscaping is pretty sparse over there. There used to be a lot of trees, and my neighbor and I went on a honeysuckle hunt, and once we got the honeysuckle out, there was nothing left. Basically, it had destroyed everything. So we both agreed that once the construction is completed, we'll collaborate on getting some trees and bushes in that to kind of soften the harsh edges of that property. So that's my petition. Thank you for considering it.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. This time we'll open up to the to board's questions. Mr. Sprunger?
So Mr. Adams,
Yep.
when we talk about a hardship or practical difficulty, could you share with us what that really is?
The biggest hardship is it would encroach on the fire pit, which would either require us to stop using the fire pit or redesign the fire, carve out some of the concrete on the fire pit. I also believe I think that the code would allow for the garages to be that close. As a father with teenage drivers, I'd like a little more space for them to turn in that. But yeah, the biggest one would be the fire pit issue. Hardship is a hard word, to be honest.
It is.
with you. I get it, right?
It is.
You know,
So if the fire pit weren't there, would you just have moved the garage and stayed within the zoning requirements?
yeah, I mean, I might have asked for the turning radius thing just to see, but yeah, we could make it work if the fire pit wasn't there.
Okay, thank you.
That is a
Questions?
poured concrete stamped fire pit, by the way. It's kind of hard to, it would require some work to move.
Any other questions from the board? Any speakers in the audience or in Zoom or present in the room that would speak in favor or opposition to the request? Seeing none. Anybody need to hear the oral presentation of the department's report? Okay. Any other final comments from the department? Thank you, Mr. Adam.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the department is recommending approval in this instance. It is a logical location for the garage. I don't want to make the petitioner's case for him, but it is a corner lot and there's 50-foot setbacks on two frontages, which kind of shifts all the building over. And the most affected neighbor is in support of the improvement, and it looks like they're collaborating to make it a good thing for both. Thank you.
Any other final comments from the board? Seeing none, we will close the proceeding for a vote. May I have a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
I'll motion to approve.
Mr. Lux has a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Approve.
Mr. Lux?
Approve.
Mr. Sprunger?
Approve.
Mr. Lee? And I approve as well. Congratulations, your variance is approved. Move right along, several more.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, if you, with your permission, I'll read the next item into the agenda. The fourth of five cases tonight is BA 5-24 Carlos Rapa. Pardon the pronunciation. 18491 Hinkin Valley Estates Drive, Wildwood, Missouri 63069, care of Rhonda Logia. 205 Chesterfield Industrial Boulevard, Chesterfield, Missouri 63005. Requests an exception to the natural resource protection requirements for the purpose of constructing a new detached garage, portion of it intruding into the 25-foot foundation setback area from the natural resource protection area, with such being located upon the property at 18491 Hinken Valley Estates Drive, locator number 26X 130083, Hinken Valley Estates Re-subdivision, Lot 13, which would authorize 495 square feet of the garage to be placed within this area. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 420.200 Natural Resource Protection Standards and Procedures of the Subdivision and Development Regulations of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code as applied to properties located in the NU Non-Urban Resident District and Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban Resident District Regulations of the City of Wildwood Zoning Ordinance. This particular property is located in Ward 6. Again, with the permission of the chair, before Ms. Keefe begins the slide presentation, the department would like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, Mr. Chair, any testimony, exhibits, or other evidence offered as part of tonight's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Vunich.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, our fourth case this evening concerns a site that is located in western Wildwood. It's located in the Henkin Valley Estates Re-subdivision, which consists of 13 lots. And the subject property is located towards the beginning of Henkin Valley Estates Drive, just as it intersects with Henkin Road. The subject lot is zoned non-urban residence district. And as part of the platting process, the natural resource protection standards were applied to it. And those are depicted on that plat. The purpose of the natural resource protection standards, as I think you are aware, is to protect the areas of the site most susceptible to erosion and to preserve areas where stormwater runoff naturally drains. The surrounding uses around this property are large lot residential and rural in character. The lot in question is relatively flat. It has a drainage way located parallel to the road, Henkin Valley Estates Drive, and towards the rear of the property begins the beginning of a hill that defines most of this subdivision. It is primarily grassy turf area with wooded areas at the base of the hill and along the frontage of the property. The petitioner is requesting this evening that as part of a new home build, a detached garage partially intrude upon the setback, setback from the natural resource protection area. That foundation setback is intended to limit building setbacks from being a certain distance within the natural resource protection area. However, other improvements are typically allowed, such as in-ground swimming pools, outbuildings, patios, things of that nature. So the petitioner is looking to have just a partial footprint of their detached garage in that area. The petitioner notes in their application that this additional space is for vehicle maneuverability. Here we are looking east at the entrance of the property. And this is just a little closer to that gate, also looking east towards the base of that hill. This is looking north along Henkin Valley Estates Drive. This is looking west across the street. And this is looking south. Now we're standing within the property itself, looking north towards a common ground area. And here we're looking south towards the neighboring property. Here I'm looking northwest towards that front gate. This is looking north. And this is looking east, again at that base of the hill. There have been 6 approved variances, all within this same subdivision, largely due to some of the difficult topography that exists within it and the nature of the custom home builds, also within this neighborhood. The department has received 2 written comments in support of the request, including 1 comment that's located within the neighborhood itself. And that concludes my presentation at this time. If you have any questions, Director Bunich and I are available to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. At this time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and be sworn in by the court reporter?
Carlos Rappa. I don't even know my address yet. Hold on. 18491 Hinkin Valley Estates Drive, Wildwood, Missouri. Owner.
We'll get you sworn in here, Mr. Rappa.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Rappa, if you could please state the nature of the request, the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance.
The nature of the request is I want to, as per the design, I want to move, well, we tried to move the garage back and forth and it doesn't really work very well within the allowed rectangles. So I want to put about 9 feet, 8 inches into that area, mainly because of the turning ratio of the driveway. With that, it gives me 33 feet. Any less than that's very difficult. I'll be like Austin Powers back and forth in that thing. So, I'll keep it really simple, but that's why the driveway space, it's just doesn't work well.
Any questions for the petitioner? I wanted to clarify, Ms. Keefe, you mentioned that patios, pools, and that wouldn't be affected, or this wouldn't be applicable to that, the setback?
So in this area, those improvements are allowed, but building setbacks, building foundations are not.
Even driveways are allowed in that area. I could put concrete all in that area, but I can't put
Foundation.
that.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the board?
There was mention of a landscape plan. Have you gotten into any details on that yet or been involved with that?
No, I saw that. When was that email came out yesterday, I think. But yeah, I can get a landscape plan put together. One of my questions is that landscape within that area, within that housing area? Or is it anywhere on the 3 acres of property, or is it, I just want to know. I'll have my architect draw it up, however.
Different department.
Yeah.
The Department of Planning would work with you on that one, I believe.
Okay.
Kind of outside of our bounds.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what that plan would look like, but I imagine the intent is anything to help with that water runoff. But I have confidence the department will be of assistance with you on that.
Sounds great.
And any other comments, questions from the board before we turn it over to the any speakers in the audience? Yeah. Any speakers on Zoom or in the audience here that would like to speak in favor or opposition to this request?
Mr. Chair, there's no one on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Anybody like to hear the oral presentation of the department's report on this petition? Seeing none, would the department like to make any final comments regarding this variance request?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the department is supporting this request. It is a fairly minor intrusion when all is said and done. And there's not too many impacts associated with it. Any impacts would be offset by the condition of a landscape plan, putting some plantings in that area, which I think would help the petitioner overall in managing some of the stormwater. Thank you.
So the topography where they would put the foundation in for the garage, that looks like it's fairly flat.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's part of why you don't have a lot of concern about the impact.
That is correct. It does not look like it would, I don't think the placement of the structures in this case would overly change the hydrology of the land, and there's that drainage way all along the road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. At this time, we will close the proceeding for a vote. May I have a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or approve with conditions?
Make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Do we have a second to approve?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Sprunger. Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Mr. Lux?
Contingency in there, correct? That was the city's recommendation.
Mr. Lux, I made the assumption when Mr. Morris made the motion, it was as recommended by the department. If
Can we
I'm
get that
incorrect.
clarified?
Okay, in that case, I'll.
Okay. Do we need to clean that up? Mr. Young?
I think we've got clarification on the motion as restated and the vote's good.
So we have a motion to approve with the condition that it follows the department's report with a landscape plan. Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Mr. Lux?
Approve.
Mr. Sprunger?
Approve.
Mr. Lee? And I approve as well. Congratulations. Your variance is approved with the stated conditions.
Mr. Chair, the last item on tonight's agenda is BA 6-24, Sharon Cloud, 1156 Sarah Matthews Lane, Wildwood, Missouri, 63005, care of Joseph Morrison, Baker Pool Construction, 527 Spirit of St. Louis Boulevard, Chesterfield, Missouri, 63005. Requesting exception to the natural resource protection requirements for the purpose of retaining an existing fence, 54 inches in height, installing a new steel pool fence, also 54 inches in height, and installing a new retaining wall system, all in support of a new in-ground swimming pool with associated concrete decking, with all being located upon the property at 1156 Sarah Matthews Lane, locator number 22W 430124, Three Sisters Farm, Plat 1, Lot 17, which requires the relocation of a portion of the final resource protection line and its associated 25-foot foundation setback line. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 420-200 Natural Resource Protection Standards and Procedures of the Subdivision and Development Regulations of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code as applied to properties located in the NU Non-Urban Resident District, and Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban Resident District Regulations of the City of Wildwood Zoning Ordinance. This request does include an offer of a 1.5 to 1 exchange of protected, non-protected area, 10,482 square feet, in exchange for the use of 7,130 square feet of final resource protected area. This particular property is located in Ward 1 and is with the other 4 requests. Before Ms. Keefe begins the slide presentation, the department would like to introduce into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2, of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment, Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance, a file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this request, and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony, exhibits, or other evidence offered as part of tonight's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, our last case this evening concerns a subject property located in the Three Sisters subdivision, Plat 1, which is located close to the intersection of Rieger Road, where it intersects with Pond Road. The subject property is located at the terminus of Sarah Matthews Lane, which is a publicly maintained roadway by the City of Wildwood. The lot is mostly rectangular in shape, and it is zoned non-urban residence district, and the neighborhood does have a conditional use for sewage treatment plant. Upon the record plat, established the natural resource protection area of the lot, which was approved, that plat was approved by the Wildwood City Council in 1999. 75% of the subdivision was protected at this time of platting. The lot is presently occupied by a single family dwelling, which was built in 2001. Other improvements that exist on the lot include a circular drive, a wooden deck with pavilion structure, and a concrete patio and fence in the rear yard. The residence of this property is situated atop a ridge with a slight ascent in the front yard and then a steep descent to the rear of the property, which is 72 feet in total relief. It terminates into a tributary of Bonhomme Creek. There is some grassy turf area around the dwelling itself, but the lot is primarily heavily wooded. This is the plan submitted by the petitioner. The petitioner is proposing to construct a new pool improvement in the rear yard, most of which does remain outside of the natural resource protection area. However, the infrastructure supporting it does go into a portion of it, including the concrete, associated concrete decking, some of the fencing and retaining walls. What the petitioner is proposing in this case, and given the unique instance of this lot and the two lots adjacent to it, the natural resource protection area, as you can see, actually is positioned right in the middle of the lot. And we believe the original intent was to preserve either end of the property for building improvements. So the petitioner is proposing a swap in this case. This would become buildable area in blue, and this slashed area in the rear of the lot would become protected area. And this would actually give more protected area back to the city in this instance. This is the front of the home looking east. This is looking at the terminus of Sarah Matthews Lane, looking southwest. This is northwest across the street. And this is northeast at Sarah Matthews Lane. This is the pavilion structure looking southeast. This is standing in the rear yard looking west. This is also the rear yard looking west. Let's see the pavilion structure here, and this is the rear of the residence. This is looking southwest. This is looking northeast. And then this is looking east into the heavily wooded area. Also looking east into that area. Then this is standing back at the wood line looking at the rear of the residence northwest. And that concludes my presentation at this time. The department has received no public comment associated with this case. No similar variances have been approved in this subdivision, though variances have been approved for other reasons. Thank you. If you have any questions at this time, we're available to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. This time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and be sworn in by the court reporter?
Sharon Cloud, 1156 Sarah Matthews Lane, and I have Mr. Rob Warner from Baker Pool that can answer any of the technical questions.
Ms. Cloud, your relation to the property and address? Owner of the address is?
1156 Sarah Matthews Lane.
We'll start by getting you sworn in here and then we'll move on.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And your name, sir?
Robert Warren. I work for Baker Pool Construction, the builder.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Please proceed. Yeah, Sean.
Sure. Thank you. The design for this project was a bit challenging. However, we understand the city's position, position on the natural resource protection line, and we wanted to be very respectful of that. So the pool structure itself does do that. It does not encroach beyond the natural resource protection line. However, due to the grades in the backyard, some balancing of the backyard had to occur, and so some cuts and fills were required. The final design yields approximately a 4 to 5 foot change in elevation at the rear of the project and the existing grades. So retaining walls were necessary in those areas. And then, of course, we have a fence beyond that. There are no patios outside the natural resource protection line. The only items that exist there is, as Robin mentioned, the fence and the retaining walls themselves, which will be landscape planted. And I considered leading with, have I got a deal for you? But I thought better of it, but here I go.
There you go. Any initial questions from the board on this? Easy enough. I think we're good. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Any speakers in the audience that may want to speak in favor or opposition to the request? If there's none in the room, any online?
No speakers online.
Okay, moving right along. Anybody like to hear an oral presentation of the department's report? Seeing none, would the department like to make any final comments?
The department would happily accept increased protected area in Wildwood. The proposed exchange is desirable. The area being protected is a more desirable portion of the property to be protected, and the natural resource protection standards do allow for flexibility from time to time. We also believe the impact to surrounding properties is very minimal given the wooded buffering all around it. However, as typical in these cases where we are relocating natural resource or final resource protection lines and associated setbacks, we would like the petitioner to submit for recording a revised deed and exhibit as a condition of approval, reflecting the changes to these lines. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. This time, we will close the proceeding for a vote. I'm sorry, just a moment, Mr. Fung.
Yeah, excuse me. I do have just a question, maybe for Attorney Young. So this is a question about when one should recuse themselves voting. Sorry about that. So Sharon's husband, Dennis, Doc Cloud, was our daughter's soccer coach way back in the day, many years, several years. And he also provided vet services for our pet and that sort of thing. We have fond memories of the Clouds. So, I just wanted to state that and see, when does one say, okay, I need to kind of back away and not vote on this. I mean, I don't think it would impact my opinion of the decision, but, if it's appropriate to recuse myself, I will.
I'm aware of no legal requirement based on that explanation.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? At this time, we will close the proceeding for a vote. Can I have a vote or a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or approve with conditions?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the variance request with the condition that the petitioner provide a revised deed reflecting the new natural resource protection area.
We have a second to approve with the conditions as Mr. Sprunger stated.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Lux. Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Approve.
Mr. Lux?
Approve.
Mr. Sprunger?
Approve.
Mr. Lee?
Approve.
And I as well approve with the conditions as stated. Congratulations, your variance is approved.
Mr. Chair, please don't adjourn. We have a couple other items on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. You are correct.
Mr. Vunich,
I believe we have a few items on the agenda still, correct?
Yes, sir. The
Do you need
first
to-
is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. So if you could ask for a motion and second to approve the minutes, then if there are any changes, and then have a voice vote.
And do we have those minutes?
They were emailed to us.
Then we have them.
Then we have.
They should be at the back of your packet this
Okay.
evening.
So
I do have a question while we're all getting to the back of the document here. On the last or the second, I don't know, the Gershenson petition. So on the board decision, I read that, I see that A's are listed. I see a nay of Coleman. Is that, what is that?
That was a mistake of the department, and we can certainly revise that as part of your approval.
Okay, so that should be none, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for catching that.
good. Yes. The Mr. Sprunger catching.
Actually reading this stuff. Right? Sorry.
So in that case, we would simply straight through that and call a motion to approve.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the change on the Gershenson petition for the nays to be none.
We have a second. Mr. Morris. Mr. Lux. Mr. Sprunger.
Approve.
Mr. Lee. I approve the minutes as stated as well.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, our second item of additional business includes the election of officers for 2024. We are required to do this on a yearly basis for this board. There are not a whole lot of requirements dictating the process. However, I have received word from each of our current officers, which includes Kevin Lux as secretary, Jared Frank as chair, and Arnie Sprunner as vice chair, that they would be happy to retain their positions. If there are any who would like to make a nomination from the floor at this time, you are certainly welcome to do so. Otherwise, I suggest you either approve these positions as a slate as recommended, or you can vote on them one by one as well.
I'm not getting hoodwinked into something else.
I
I make a
take it.
motion that we approve this as a slate.
Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Mr. Lux? Mr. Sprunger?
Approved.
Mr. Lee? I approve as well. So.
Thank you.
Robin, would it make any sense to talk about either the next meeting, the March meeting or the April meeting yet, just as kind of a, I don't know, informational for the board about the training thing?
I would just say as a preliminary heads up, maybe hold your schedule for either next month or the month of April for a Board of Adjustment training that would follow the regular meeting. And for that training, we would need you here in person.
If I could offer up that the next March meeting will be spring break in Rockwood schools, so.
That is helpful.
Yeah,
Maybe-
I will not be able to attend.
All right, well, maybe we think about April.
So
Anyway,
maybe-
it's
Mr.
just so that we can start to process that.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
Mr. Young, are you available for the April meeting?
I am.
So if there's no objection, there are the 5 regular members in attendance tonight. So if you plan on being at the April meeting, this be a good time maybe to set the training so Mr. Young can make the preparations.
And what date is that April meeting?
Third.
May I ask that?
So that is
But I,
The 18th.
the 18th.
the 18th of April.
18th.
Works for me.
As far as I know.
As far as everybody knows right now, it works. I
Well,
think-
thank you. Again, we've been trying to schedule this and we've had alternates and then regular members. And so my appreciation to the board members and to Mr. Young. And we'll plan on the April meeting. If we end up with 5 or 6 cases, we'll let you know and then you can make the determination.
I only need like 3 or 4 hours.
Before and after, right?
Yes.
No, you did a fine job, sir, and I appreciate it. And I think the solution was the postponement. So thank you for your patience with the department.
Any additional business before we adjourn? Yes, you can.
Fought battle.
It was well earned. Consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you.